Yeah. Hi friends. This is Ravi Kanth Miriyala. Right. Today we'll be discussing about basics of hedge accounting and the accounting treatment of the fair value hedge, cash flow hedge, and net investment in foreign operation, that hedge. Right. All these things are going to be discussed. Right. My suggestion before getting into and my assumptions both. First, my suggestion, if you look at the video for few minutes or something, no, then obviously I don't think that you will be understanding subject, right? So my suggestion is thoroughly go through, I mean full video, you watch it, at the same time you note down the points, then I can ensure you will get some idea about this hedge accounting, right? And next, one more assumption I'll take. What is that? You know something about hedging which you studied as part of your strategic financial management paper, right? So let's get into this topic, which is obviously very good, interesting, and it will be helpful, right? And from the examination point of view for CA final financial reporting, they have not asked a question so far. And if you see ICA material, recent updated one, there is no question from the material, right? But yes, they can ask, because they are asking in GFRS paper. Yeah, hardly one or two times like that it has come in, and so like that they can ask you in the examination. At the same time, you should be having some idea. That is first thing, very important. Correct. Now, when you join a big company, hedging is normal. That is common, right? So, and if you say I don't know, I skipped it for examination purpose, if it is not relevant, not many marks like that, no, obviously it'll give bad impression. Correct? No? True. So let's get into this topic, hedge accounting. Yeah, first and foremost thing, this hedge accounting for a company, I mean whoever is following Ind AS, it is not mandatory. Yes, so that's why what do I say first only, it is optional accounting. It is optional accounting, right? But is it good to choose this accounting, or is it bad, or that's we'll discuss anyhow. We'll understand within 10 minutes only, you'll understand. It is basically optional, right? It is not mandatory for a company to follow hedge accounting, what we are discussing. Done, right? So if you do not follow, what? Correct. Now what do you do? Yeah, if you do not follow, if not followed, correct? Now if not followed, yeah, if not followed, then what do you follow? See, first of all, how are you hedging? Generally people, I mean it's not mandatory, generally people hedge, I mean by getting into derivative instruments like forward contracts, future contracts, option contracts, swap contracts. Correct. With these contract derivatives help, they will try to hedge their risks. Correct. So if you are not following hedge accounting, then what is that? It is a derivative contract, that's all. Yeah, derivative contract is going to be classified, all derivatives are going to be classified as FVTPL, that's all. So if you are not following, then what will happen? A derivative contract, correct? A derivative contract is always classified. Yes, it is always classified. A derivative contract is always classified as what? FVTPL, that's it. Yeah, if it is classified as FVTPL, then we'll measure it. Correct. Now if it is FVTPL, what do you do? If it is FVTPL, right, we'll measure on the balance sheet date. Correct. Measure on the balance sheet date at fair value. Correct. We'll be measuring it on the fair market value, and the difference, whatever the difference in fair value from the book value to the fair value, difference will be transferred to profit and loss. That's all. Right. So in this accounting, in this which one, FVTPL accounting, we just do not care that it is hedging for what is the risk. Correct. Now we do not consider at all, we do not consider. Yeah, what we do not consider? Why have you purchased it? Why have you taken this derivative. Why did you enter into this derivative agreement? Correct. Then we do not consider what is the purpose. Correct. And what are we hedging? Correct. What are we hedging? What are we hedging? Correct. I mean to say, what is the relationship between what are you hedging? Sir, I mean say there is what is that? There is fixed interest rate bearing securities, means we have issued debentures. Fixed rate, correct. But this value may go up and down because of the fluctuation of interest rate in the market. So you must have entered into interest swap, wherein, correct, now we will pay interest. Which one? What do you pay? We will pay floating rate. We will pay, correct. So, but in this, I mean, why you entered into swap agreement? I just don't care. You entered for what purpose? To what extent it is going to hedge? Means offset the losses from this. Correct, na? Right. So, what is that hedging and its effectiveness? Right. We do not consider. That's all. We do not consider the effectiveness. Nothing will take into account, and simply fair value fluctuation of that derivative contract is going to be transferred to profit and loss. That is what we do. Correct. So, but now with hedge accounting, what will happen? Right. And what are the differences? I mean, because if you follow hedge accounting, what is the benefit that you are going to derive? That also we are going to discuss now. Right. See, first, why is that hedge, sir? Hedge means first basic thing, which you obviously very well aware. Right. See, the companies obviously are exposed to number of financial risks. Right. So what do I'll write very small things also I would like to write, so that copy. See, my point is very simple. If you copy, there is a chance for revision. If you do not copy this, then there is a chance for forgetting. That's all. Correct, no? Right. If you are going to attempt examination, then obviously if you write down at one place, it will be useful to you for your future reference. Yeah, otherwise, being a human, you, me, everybody will forget. That is normal, that is natural. Correct, no? There is no doubt in it. Right. Chalo, my dear. Now let's get into hedge. What is that? Correct, no? Companies are exposed. I say companies are exposed. Companies are exposed to what? Exposed to many financial risks. Yes, many financial risks. Yeah, many financial risks. What risks, sir? What risks means there are, like they may be having risks of what? Foreign currency risk, one. Yes, forex risk. Yeah, what is forex risk? Forex risk. I sold goods to a foreign customer. He'll be paying me dollars after some time, that is going to come in the future. Correct. Maybe I am expecting, or it is like that market, dollar value or some other, I mean foreign currency value is going to fall. That means I am exposed. Correct. Now, today I say $1 lakh into $1 lakh. So I say example 70 rupees is today. So 70 lakh I am supposed to get, expected to get. Suppose tomorrow if it goes to 69, example. Yeah, then I will get 69 lakhs. So then straight away I am exposed to 1 lakh. 1 lakh rupees is going to be a loss to me. Correct. So I want to hedge. Correct. That is one. And what is that? Change in interest rates. Yes, interest rates. Yeah, interest rates, as you know, it will be changing as per the countries like RBI norms, and RBI will be revising depending upon the economy of the country and etc. So because of that, correct. Now, suppose say if interest rate has gone up, right? A floating rate loan I have taken, correct. Floating rate I have loan taken means obviously tomorrow RBI increases the rate, means I am supposed to pay more amount of interest. So yes, that is what. Next, commodity risk. Yes, you have commodity risk. What is commodity risk? You know that you have some inventory in hand, right? So maybe because tomorrow the value of it may fall down, right? If it falls down, automatically I'll be losing. Correct. I will not be getting an opportunity to get good amount of profits, right? Like that, a number of risks we are exposed. That's why what does company do? Obviously they will form different strategies. They will form strategies. Correct. Yeah. When you form the strategy, correct. And basically hedging is for what? Securing purpose. Yeah, so it is not for making more amount of profit, it is to reduce the losses, correct? Now at least it is going to limit the losses, correct? Now it is to reduce, correct? These strategies are for what purpose? This is for reduction of losses, correct? It is not for profits gaining, it is for reduction of profits, not for, sorry, reduction of losses or elimination. I can say reduction or elimination means perfectly, right? Elimination. Yeah, means what do you mean by exactly, sir? What do you mean by this? Means whatever the loss expected, okay, loss expected from where? Loss expected from what? From our asset, I can say. Loss expected from, I will say in the correct word, hedged item. Loss expected from hedged item. What is hedged item? This is the item which is with me. Okay, it may be an asset, it may be a liability, it may be a commitment, right? We are exposed to risk because of this item, right? The loss expected from the hedged item can be offset. Yes, it can be offset. Offset with what? With the profit. With the profits. Profits from where? Profits from the hedging instruments. Profit from hedging instrument. Yeah. So here I am going to get loss. That loss is going to be compensated or offset with the profits from other. Or opposite also. Maybe suddenly what will happen? This loss may become gain. Correct. If this loss, if it is getting gain, means obviously this may become a loss. But somehow you are secured, that's all. You are not going to get the profit. It's not for hedging, is not meant for making more profits. That basic you must have already remembered, that I am correct now, that I am considering it. Fine. So next thing, what do I say? What is this hedge accounting, what you are talking, sir? Yeah, hedge accounting. Let us get into that small thing. Hedge accounting. Yeah. Sir, what is hedge accounting? Hedge accounting is one small technique here, that's all. What is this technique? What do you do? First I'll explain, then I will make note. Yeah. The hedge accounting may what will happen? The profit or losses from the hedged item and the profit or losses from the hedging instrument, both will be recorded either in the profit and loss or in the OCI. Okay, both will be recorded in the profit and loss or OCI. This is going to give you somewhat matching concept, a better matching concept, correctly speaking. Okay, this is going to give you somewhat better matching concept. That's I am going to say. What is this matching concept? Are we not following? We are following actually, but because of, if you don't follow the hedge accounting, no, then you will not be actually accounting in correct matching concept, which I can explain you with example better, right? And not with theoretical. Even if I explain, I don't think so you will understand, right? I'll take an example, but let me write one small line with respect to hedge accounting, then we'll get into that, right? What is hedge accounting, sir? Hedge accounting, I'll say it is a small technique. Yes, it is a technique. Okay, in this technique what will happen? In this technique wherein the gain or loss, from where, sir? Gain or loss from hedged item. Okay, hedged item, right? And hedging instrument, both hedging instrument are recorded either in, okay, are recorded either in the profit and loss or in the OCI, right? It is not spreaded, right? Sometimes what happen, if you don't follow hedging accounting, the gain or loss from the hedged item may be transferred to P&L, okay, and the gain or loss of hedging instrument may go to OCI, something like that. I mean opposite way. Then obviously, right, so that will lead to what? Correct. This, if you follow this leads to matching concept. I say this leads to matching concept. Okay, at the same time, not only the matching concept, it reduces the variability, it reduces the volatility, variability, whatever, volatility. Okay, volatility. Yeah, volatility in what? Volatility in OCI, profit and loss, the profit and loss. This is what it's going to happen. Okay, so this, I mean, let me explain it with one small example, then you will understand better. Yeah, let us say one small, you need to understand few more words, my dear friend. Okay, because this is new topic, to obviously expect new terminology. A new terminology, if you understand correctly, then the subject, I mean, whatever I am trying to explain, convey, correctness, that you will be able to catch it very well. Right, chalo, anyhow, first one small example, let me take it. Yeah, example. I say, suppose example, you have some inventory in hand. Okay, we have inventory. Okay, sir, done. We have inventory in hand. How much worth of inventory? What is the cost of it? Let us say cost is equal to 4 lakh rupees. Okay, done, no problem. 4 lakh rupees. How much is this? Let me put it this into, let us say, some 20,000 units. Okay, 20,000 units into 20 rupees each is my cost. So that into this, obviously 4 lakh rupees. This is my cost. Correct. See, inventory, how do you measure? Inventory, how do you measure? We measure it as per Ind AS 2. Correct. As per Ind AS 2, how do you measure? We'll measure it either at cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Correct. Only lower, not the higher. If there is a gain, we'll measure it at cost. Correct. NRV is higher means we'll measure it at cost. That is basic, you know. Done. Suppose now, what is the problem? What is the problem? We are expecting. I am the company. I have the inventory with me. What is the loss? What is the expected? I mean, expected risk with you? The commodity rate may fall down. That's how. That is the risk. Yeah. So what are you doing? We are expecting. What is that? What is expected? Expected a decrease in the value. Yeah, decrease in value. Yeah, decrease in value of what? Decrease in value of this inventory. I'm expecting that 4 lakh rupees worth of, I mean, cost is 4 lakh. Correct. There may be less demand and more supply, whatever the reason, value of the stock will fall down to. Okay, it may fall down to what? Some, I mean, maybe 3,80,000, something like that. So I will make a loss of 20,000, something like that I'm expecting. Okay, that's why what did we do? Right. So how can we protect ourselves? We can enter into a future contract. Correct. Na? You can enter into a future contract. Right. What is that? That we will purchase. I mean, we'll say we will sell the product for at a higher rate. Yeah. So that's why what is that we said? We entered into a future contract. Let me say that. Entered into a future contract. Yeah. What is a future contract? We said like at the rate of 22 each item, each unit we will sell it. Yeah. 22 you will sell it means what? Correct. Okay. For 20, just example, 20,000 into 22, if I take it, that means my total contract value, will be how much I will get on sale. That is 4,40,000. Right. This is a future contract which will, when will it be settled, sir? Let us say after 6 months. Okay. Let us say after 6 months. Let us say this is 1st January 2021. Yeah. Contract, we have the inventory also this date. And what is that? Future contract also we have entered, which will be settled. Yeah, which will be settled in 6 months time. Means after 6 months I will be selling this product. Fine, no problem. And at least now what is happening? My cost is equal to 4 lakh. Pakka minimum amount of what? 4,40,000 rupees I will be able to get. Correct na? Means 40,000 I am in gaining position. Right. It is a future contract. It may lead to gain, loss depending upon the future inventory value that is known to you. Correct. Now let us see. Right. What do we do, sir? Yeah. Let me say example. I will give you some information. Suppose without hedging, how will it happen? Without hedging, what will happen? Say on 31st March. Yeah. Say on 31st March. Or on the date of settlement. Anything you can say. Otherwise, first we'll see in the 31st March position. Let us discuss. Okay. Yeah. So on 31st March, say inventory value is equal to, yes, let me say I'll write here. That's better. Okay, yeah, on 31st March inventory value. Okay, inventory value is equal to, let me say it is 23. Next, the future contract value, that is fair value of the future contract on 31st March, which is equal to 24. Done, right? See the situation now. Suppose if you are not following the hedge accounting, correct? What is the accounting? How is that effect is presented in the financial statements? Yeah. So first I said, if you are not following hedge accounting, the future contract is a derivative contract. Derivative is FETPL. FETPL to gain or loss will be transferred to profit and loss. Okay, correct. So what is that? Right, what do I write here? Yeah, so derivative always at FETPL. Correct. So now tell me, future contract value is equal to how much? 24. Means what you said, we'll sell at 22. That is what agreement. But where in market mein? Where in market mein 24 is the rate. That means aren't we losing 2 rupees of loss per 1 unit? Yes. So here what is there? There is a loss. What is the loss? Loss per unit. Loss per unit is equal to 22 minus 24, that is equal to 2. Correct. 2 rupees is my loss. So but for the total, what is your total loss? Because I have told you 20,000 units. So that means 20,000 units into 2, that is equal to 40,000 rupees is going to be my loss. Correct. So 40,000 loss means what is the journal entry will say? Yeah, loss account debit. I mean, it will have affect my profit and loss. And you say credit to future contract. It is unfavorable, correct na, for me. That's what. So what do you say? We will hit the profit and loss, debit 40,000 rupees, and credit what? Credit will be some future contract account, some asset, financial asset, future contract financial asset. Yes, this will be lying as a liability in your balance sheet because it is not yet settled. It is as on it is position of 31st March. Correct. This is with respect to which one? This is with respect to future, which is hedging instrument. Correct na? Can I say hedging instrument? Yes. Right. But what about the inventory, my dear? What about the inventory? Yeah, inventory. What is your cost? Your cost is equal to 4 lakh. Correct. But now I said inventory value also gone up. What actually you thought? Value will fall down. Correct. But whatever you thought, that only will not happen, right? That need not necessarily happen. This is future. Future is uncertain. Correct. So the cost is equal to 4 lakh. But NRV now, what is NRV? NRV is equal to 20,000 units into 23. Correct. So what is that? 20,000 units into 23 will come to 4,60,000. Yeah. And as usual, whichever is lower. So in the balance sheet, what do you say? 4 lakh you will say. That's all, na? Correct. So with respect from this, will there be any charge to profit and loss? There is no charge to profit and loss. No charge to profit and loss. But it shows what? Actually? It shows in the profit and loss may, it shows there is a loss of 20, there is a loss of 60,000. Correct, na? There is a loss, sorry, not loss of 60, this is loss of 40. This is 40, na? Correct. There is 40 actually. Correct, na? But at the same time, the value of the inventory has gone up means, I've got 60,000 profit as well, no? Correct, na? Right. So when I say 60,000 profit has come, net is equal to actually 20,000 profit. Net is equal to 20,000 profit. And this is guaranteed profit. This is guaranteed profit. One loss, one gain is there. Net profit is actually 20,000. If you do not follow the hedge accounting, your profit and loss will be like this. That's all. Only loss will be sitting in the profit and loss. But we are ignoring the gain from the inventory. We are ignoring that is a guaranteed gain for me. That is 20,000, which does not reflect or present the real position. Actually, we have, because we are not exposed to the risk because of the hedging instrument which you have entered, but it is not presented in the correct fashion. That is the problem with, what is that, not following hedge accounting. Correct. Now let me explain you. If I follow, okay na, if hedge accounting followed, yeah, if hedge accounting followed, yeah, if hedge accounting followed, right? See, you must have heard already, hedge accounting, there are three models: fair value hedge, cash flow hedge, net investment hedge, net investment in foreign operation, basically. Okay, that we'll discuss a little later. Our target focus is first fair value hedge or cash flow hedge. Here we'll follow fair value hedge. Why? You have entered into this future contract for what purpose? To secure the fair value of the item. Correct. Now, which item? Your inventory, which is in hand. Right. So the future contract, I will write future contract here. Okay, future contract is entered. Yes, future contract is entered. What is that? With an objective. Yeah, with an objective. What is your objective? With an objective to hedge. With an objective to hedge the loss or decrease in value, loss in value of inventory. Correct na? Loss in value of inventory. That is your objective. Correct. So there is asset already in the balance sheet. Correct. And we are expecting that there may be a loss because of the reduction in the value. We want to hedge it. That's why we entered into a future contract. Nothing wrong. So that's why what is the model we'll follow? We'll follow fair value hedge model. Okay, fair value hedge model. I will be explaining in detail about fair value hedge model in few minutes. Okay, right. But for the time being, just to give you an idea, what is it? How will it have? How will it nullify? And presentation will be more correct. This is a real presentation. Actually, if you follow hedge accounting, that is beautiful. If you don't follow, okay. But okay, that's all. Okay, right. So fair value hedge. If you follow fair value hedge, what you will do now? Hedged item also will be measured at fair value. What did I say? Yeah, in this model, what do we'll do? Hedged item. Hedged item. What is hedged item? We are hedging inventory. Correct? Inventory. Inventory is also measured at fair value. That's all. Generally, it is measured at what? Yeah, generally it is measured at cost or FMV, whichever is lower. But if you follow fair value model, we'll measure it at fair value. The minute you say I am measuring it at fair value, you're measuring at fair value, then inventory, what is the, with respect to inventory, value will go up. Inventory account debit, I will say 60,000. Correct. And this, the gain will be transferred to profit and loss 60,000. This is first journal entry will come in. Done. At the same time, second journal entry, the same journal entry. This is with respect to hedged item. This is with respect to hedging instrument. Yeah, hedging instrument also, obviously fair valuation we will do it. When you do fair value, then what will happen? The profit and loss account debited to future contract. Yeah, same entry. Okay. Yeah, that comes to 40,000. Correct. Right. So am I getting exactly what am I getting here, my dear? Am I getting a gain of, right? So what is your net gain from this? Net gain from the inventory has come to actually 20,000. Actually 20,000. Is it real position for the company or not? Real position. Right. So this real position, that is our risk, because of our risk management activity. Correct. Now the real position has come to 20,000 with, and the by way of our hedge accounting, we are supposed to, correct na, reflect, our hedge accounting should reflect the real position. So that's why what do we say? The objective. What is the objective, sir? The objective of hedge accounting. Yeah, what is your objective of hedge accounting? It should represent. Yeah, it should represent. Reflect what it should reflect? Reflect the effect. Yeah, reflect the effect of what? Risk management activities. risk management activities of management, or risk management activities of the entity. Yeah, they are actually trying to do, correct na? They are trying to do manage the risk, right? It is not about the loss actually 40,000, right? It is actually we are in a gain position of 20,000. If you do not follow hedge accounting, but it is optional, if you do not follow hedge accounting, it gives a wrong picture. It gives a wrong picture. But if you follow the hedge accounting, it really gives you the real picture. So that is this the main objective of hedge accounting, right? I hope you understood to some extent now, correct? But when we get into a fair value hedge, what will you do? If it is inventory, what you will do? If it is a firm commitment, what you will do? There are so many things actually which we are going to explain it to you. It takes little time, yes, not little time, more time only, but without more time understanding and spending good amount of time, don't expect in one shot may everything should get into our mind, right, my dear? Yeah, see here some places what happens, Numa, hedge accounting actually not required. Some places, yes. Where, sir? Why? I mean, see, hedge accounting not required. Why? Suppose example. Yeah, not required. Where not required, I'm going to explain. Suppose hedged item is measured at, what I say? Hedged item is measured at FVTPL. FVTPL means fair value through P&L, means that is already measured at fair value. And getting my point. And hedging instrument is also derivative. When hedging instrument is derivative, means that is also measured at FVTPL. When both items are measured at FVTPL, means the gain or loss both will come to profit and loss. Under that circumstance, do I need to follow hedge accounting? No, I don't need to follow hedge accounting, right? At the same time, suppose, sir, I want to follow hedge accounting, means there is lot of things, formal documentation is involved in this. It's not like that I will follow, I don't follow. No. If you want to follow, no problem. But you have to say, you have to clearly designate. Designate means link it. Say that. You have to document it. Yeah, what is that? This is hedged item. This is my hedging instrument. This hedging instrument I have entered, correct? Entered for what purpose? For the purpose of to nullify the risk. Which risk? That is also you have to tell. Correct? That is also you have to tell. Which risk means one item may have more than one risks. Yeah, one item may have more than one risk. Suppose example, floating foreign currency payable. What did I say? Floating foreign currency. You took a loan from outside India, right? But our rate is not fixed rate. That is floating rate. Now you are entering into a swap agreement. For what swap agreement? Swap agreement can be entered only for interest. Swap agreement can be entered for foreign currency. Correct, na? Right. Sir, I am entering only for interest rate, sir. Then you should say, Guru, this is I am entering into a foreign currency. What is that? I mean, sorry, swap contract I am entering. This is to hedge the risk of what? Interest fluctuation risk only, not the because it is a foreign currency item also involved. Then we'll say next example, one bond is there, okay, right? A value of the bond may fluctuate, right? A debenture, bond, whatever you take, it will fluctuate. For what reason? For interest reasons. Is it only interest reason? Not only interest reason. And it may fluctuate depending upon what? It may be depending upon the credit worthiness of the company who has issued it. Correct, no? Interest rates showed the yaar. Suppose there is a doubt whether that guy will pay me money or not. Yeah, before the bonds getting maturity, correct, no? Suppose that guy goes into liquidation, then what do you get? Less than the face value only you may get. Example. Next, it may be because of the liquidity position of the issuer. Correct. It may be because of n number of things here. It is not only because of the credit rate assessment. Correct, na? Right. It may be because of current industry itself is falling. That also may lead to liquidation. That also may lead to number of things. Value of the instrument may fall down. Correct. But when I say I have entered into interest swap agreement, that means the interest swap agreement is going to hedge the risk of only interest volatility, but not the entire fair value of. So you have to document that clearly. This is the risk it has. Maybe it is exposed to 1, 2, 3, 4 risks, but I am hedging. My instrument is going to hedge to the extent of this much, right? And you should tell how it is hedging. How it is hedging means what? See, if this gets a loss of 100 from my instrument, I will get a profit of 100. So I am going to offset it. Yeah, you have to present it. Okay, you should have clear documentation, formal documentation. Then afterwards, passing journal entry by us accountants. Got it? Right. So that's what do I say? Right. In some cases, yes, make note. In some cases, hedge accounting, not necessary. Not necessary. Yeah, in some cases, hedge accounting is not necessary. Yeah, where do I say where accounting this is not required, not necessary? When there is no matching concept, because without following hedge accounting only, it is representing the real risk management. Then why do I need to follow? Correct, na? That's why what do I say? When no mismatch means there is matching account. Correct, na? There is no mismatch. Accounting mismatch, I'll say better option. Okay, when there is no accounting mismatch, right? So where it will be, sir? Some 2 examples I can give you. Okay, right? What is that? I'll say the hedged item is hedged item. Okay, the hedged item is what? Hedged item is FVTPL asset. FVTPL asset. Okay, FVTPL. So the gain or loss of a fair value fluctuation is gone to P&L. Correct. So the fluctuation affects what? Fluctuation affects P&L. Done. Right. And the second, I mean within this A, correct. Second is what? Which B? Sorry, B. B is hedging instrument. Right. Yes. With respect to hedging instrument. Yeah. Hedging instrument also obviously assume this is also a FVTPL category. Means there's a derivative. It must be a derivative. Yes. A derivative is always FVTPL. So this is also FVTPL, means the effect also will fall in P&L. Both fair valuation, both are measured at fair value. Both the effects are given to P&L. Correct. Now, suppose if one effect is given to P&L, one effect is gone to OCI, then hedge accounting only required. Under this circumstance, because correct now, yeah, yes, as both items, correct now, both items effect, that is fair value effect, is given to P&L. Yes, is given to P&L. So that's why no need of, there is obviously no need. No need of what? No need of hedge accounting. That's it. That is situation number 1. Right. One more situation I can say. Yeah, one more situation. Yeah, second situation. This is, I mean, without the help of derivative also, you can actually hedge your foreign currency risks and etc. Means what? Yeah, you can have foreign currency receivable. Correct. Maybe you may be having foreign currency payable the other side. It is getting automatically hedged. Correct. Because whatever the loss you are going to get from the foreign currency receivable, that can be offset with the foreign currency payable gain. Correct. From one hand it is gain, means another hand it is a loss. Or loss means here gain. It is going to be offset. It is not necessary that we are supposed to hedge something with a derivative instrument only. We are not, I mean, without the help of the derivative instrument also we can do natural hedging also, it's possible. Right. So what do I do? Second point, what do I say? Right. What are you doing? Hedging. Foreign currency FC. Foreign currency monetary item. Foreign currency monetary items. Monetary items. Right. With offsetting. Yeah, offsetting what, sir? What are you offsetting with? What? Offsetting with, yeah, offsetting with what? Monetary item. Foreign currency monetary items. Yeah, these are also foreign currency monetary items. Correct. So then both are foreign currency. Both are monetary item, right? Monetary item means what will happen as per Ind AS 21. Correct. As per Ind AS 21, what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to restate it. Yeah, you restate it using which rate? Using the balance sheet date rate, that is closing rate. Balance sheet date rate. So when both are measured using this, correct. And so that's why given effect to what? Given effect to profit and loss. Right, both the effects are given to profit and loss. It is not like one is gone to FCI, OCI, and one is gone to P&L. Correct. So then no issues here. Also actually not required. Hedge accounting following is, it is naturally, it is getting hedged, naturally it is presenting, there is no accounting mismatch, not required to follow hedge accounting. I hope you understood. Yeah, now let us get into the few definitions which are crucial for understanding of the next part of the subject. Okay, right. So the first definition I would like to say, I mean, there's some 3-4 definitions. One is hedged item. What is hedged item? Means which is going to be hedged, that's all. It's there in the meaning itself. Correct. So what is hedged item? Correct. So what can be hedged item? I mean, you can hedge the asset which is the asset or liability which is there in the balance sheet. Correct. No? That's why hedged item can be, it can be, yeah, what it can be. One is a recognized asset. Yeah, recognized means it's already recorded in the books, recorded in the financial statements, exist in the balance sheet. Okay, what do I say? It is recognized asset. Yeah, it is recognized asset or liability. Yes, it is recognized asset or liability which is already there. Or it can be an unrecognized firm commitment. Okay, second possibility. What is it? Unrecognized. Yeah, unrecognized firm commitment. Yeah, see this firm commitment. Yeah, firm commitment means what? Firm means it's binding basically. Firm commitment means simple, my dear. Yeah, what is that? Firm commitment means the company entered into a binding contract. Okay, it is nothing but a binding contract. That's it. It is a binding contract. What for what? For exchanging resources. Means what? I will sell you goods, or I will buy goods, or I will purchase one machine. Correct. Now I will purchase some intangible asset, or I will sell something. That's all. Okay. Right. Binding contract for exchanging. For exchanging resources. Yeah. It is not recognized. Yes, it is not recognized right now. Fine. But even that, yeah, because we entered into agreement. What is that? That I will sell goods to a foreign customer. Yeah. What is that? A binding agreement at say $100 example. What is going to come to me $100 in the future? Right. When I say $100 in the future, but a dollar value may undergo a change by the time it comes. Sale will happen only after 6 months. Correct. So dollar they will give me after 6 months. After 6 months, dollar rate may not be today's rate. If I am expecting that the dollar value will go down, then I need to enter into a derivative contract to hedge the foreign currency risk. That's it. So it is basically a binding contract. Remember, it is a binding contract for exchange of resources. Okay, right. Exchange of resources at what? At future date. At future date. And at specified amount. That's it. At a specified amount. Yeah, we will be obviously mentioning amount and date. Without that, what is the kind of contract it is? Right. That is the one. Next thing. Next, third one can be what? Yeah, third one can be a highly probable forecasted transaction. Yes, we can highly probable forecast transaction. Yeah. So when I say forecasted transaction, first of all, it is forecast transaction, name itself is saying. It is not committed. First, that's what you need to understand. It is not committed. I did not enter into a binding contract. Yes, it is highly probable, forecasted. Forecasted means expected, basically. It is not committed. It is highly expected, I can say. Highly expected. Yeah, highly expected transaction. Right. So I don't know the party to whom I am selling or from whom I am purchasing. Right, because it is expected. Yes, I know we are going to buy. How you know you are going to buy? Yeah, my dear, see my sales, see my purchases in the past. Correct? Or see the requirement of purchasing a machine. I need machine. I will buy. That's I know. It is highly probable, not just probable. I mean, very much expected that we are going to buy or sell. Correct? Now, obviously, it is a forecast. Firm commitment only not recognized. This is highly probable. There is no agreement. So obviously, it is also not recognized. Obviously, both are unrecognized only. Anyhow, this is written here. Yeah, this is also not recognized. You can write here. It is not recognized. Yeah, you don't find it in the balance sheet. Correct. Or it can be it can be a single item. You can do. I mean, what is that? Hedge. Or it can be group. Okay. Yeah, or group of, what do you say, group of all these items. Means what? A group of recognized assets or liabilities, a group of firm commitments, a group of forecasted transactions. Correct? Right. So obviously it's group of items. Right. Yeah, obviously these contracts will be with whom? These contracts will be with external contracts with external parties. Correct? No? It will be external parties. Obviously not with ourselves. Correct. If it is with ourselves, what is there? Right? Because you have risk, you are only creating. No, it is obviously such kind of things will not happen and will not be coming into my accounting as well. This is about, my dear, what can we hedge? We can hedge what is there in the balance sheet. That is asset, liability, anything. Correct? And see, asset liability is the word used. Correct? Now, and did I say any financial asset or financial liability? No, any asset. Any asset. Any in the sense what? It can be financial. It can be financial or non-financial. Yeah, you studied already. I mean, I taught you in the beginning only what is financial asset, what is financial liability. Correct. So what is non-financial? Say example, inventory. Yes, inventory, property, plant and equipment, intangible assets. You can write all these things because these are all non-financial assets. Like that, non-financial liabilities also. It can be with respect to anything. Correct. That is one. We are through with, I mean, basic definition of hedged item. Now let's get into the next small definition. Hedging instrument. What can be hedging instrument? Yeah, let us spend hedging instrument. Okay. Yeah, hedging instrument means with which you want to hedge the hedged item. Correct? Basically, right. So what is hedging instrument? This is the instrument. This is the instrument. Yeah, with which we want to hedge the risk. Hedge the risk attributable to hedged item. That's it. Yeah, whatever the risks attached to, related to hedged item, those risks, with the help of these instruments, I would like to secure myself. Correct? I would like to hedge means what? Offset. Correct? Secure. You are offsetting the losses expected to arise from the hedged item. Right? That you wanted to offset or nullify those losses with the help of these instruments. What can be hedging instrument? If you remember in our discussion for last 1 hour or half an hour, yeah, what is that we said? It can be a derivative instrument. Correct? Hedged item is, yes, hedging instrument can be. It can be a derivative. Yes, it can be a derivative contract. Yeah, a derivative contract. obviously and always derivative contract is measured at FVTPL. Correct. A derivative contract measured at, yes, measured at what? FVTPL. Or it can be, okay, right, it can be a derivative contract. A derivative contract, you know, future options, forwards, swap, different vehicles basically, right? So, and the next one, what do you say? It can be non-derivative as well. Yes, we can do hedging with non-derivative. Yeah, a non-derivative, remember, financial asset or financial liability, obviously. Non-derivative financial, okay, financial asset or financial liability, right? When you want to hedge, obviously these also must be measured. These also measured at FVTPL. FVTPL. Okay, right. Maybe some instrument which is like equity instrument, and it can be, what is that? Generally it is FVTPL. Yes, generally FVTPL. There is an exception. What is an exception? Equity instrument. You know, equity instrument. I mean, equity instrument means equity investment. Otherwise, I will say equity investment. Yeah, equity investment generally. Yeah, as you studied like business model, SPPI test, it does not satisfy SPPI test, correct? And it does not have a contractual period, and there is no contractual cash flows from the equity investment. So it is going to be like obviously other business model, and it does not satisfy SPPI test. By its nature, it should be classified as FVTPL, correct? But as you know, the entity has irrevocable option to classify that at the initial recognition itself as FVTOCI, correct? So, and if it is being classified as FVTOCI also, then also it is okay. That is what we are trying to say. An equity instrument which is correct now, which is classified as what? FVTOCI initially. Yeah, initially if it has been classified as FVTOCI, even that instrument also can be an hedging instrument. Got it? Next, so that is one. Next, what is effective hedge effectiveness? This is next small definition. Hedge effectiveness. Yeah, what the standard definition says, hedge effectiveness is a degree. Degree means it's a percentage, that's all. Okay, this is the percentage. Percentage of what? Percentage of offset. Percentage of offset of what? Percentage of offset of the gains or losses from the hedged item, setting off with the gains or losses of the hedging instrument. I mean, what percentage you are able to effectively offset, that's all. It is the percentage of offset of gain or loss. Gain or loss from where? From the hedged item. Hedged item with what? Gain or loss. Gain or loss of what? With hedging instrument. With hedging instrument, that's all. It is simple. This is the percentage of offset, nothing else to think too much and break your head for that. Done? Right. So this is one basic definition, right? Yeah, next part is, what do we say? Qualifying criteria for hedge accounting. Okay, right. I mean, can I apply anything? No, there are some rules and regulations here. Yeah, qualifying criteria. Yeah, qualifying criteria for hedge accounting. For hedge accounting. Okay, qualifying criteria for hedge accounting. Right. So when do we start doing this? I told you it's not simple. Simple in the sense, just accountant at the down level, he can say this is this. No. It should be planned at high level. Correct. I mean, somebody has to establish the relationship between the hedged item and hedging instrument. You should say, yeah, this is the risk. This is the item, hedged item. Item can be a recognized asset, unrecognized commitment, or a highly probable forecasted transaction, you should say this is what the transaction I'm expecting. From this is the risk we are exposed to, and this is the instrument, that is hedging instrument, with which I would like to hedge. And you should say, yeah, so this value will go up, this value will come down. Correct. Because of our hedging strategy, we will be able to offset this much percentage. That is all supposed to be formally documented. Okay, right. It is not at accountant level, it will be at little higher level, obviously, without doubt. Yes, the strategy of financial manager has to do that job. So there must be a formal documentation. There must be a formal documentation. What is happening? Yeah, there must be a formal documentation, right? What do I say? First point, what it says, there should be relationship includes, yeah, hedging relation, hedging relation, or hedge relation. Yeah, hedging relationship includes, yeah, what it includes, sir? It includes the eligible, correct now, it should be eligible, eligible hedged item and hedging instrument. Right. Next, second one, what do I say? At the inception means when you are establishing the relationship, you are supposed to have formal documentation at inception only. At inception only. What is at inception? When relationship is established. Yeah, when relationship is established, then what are you supposed to do? Right. Yeah, you have to have formal documentation. Yes, formal documentation required. Right. What is a formal documentation? Yes, 1 second. Yeah, formal documentation is required. One. What is that? You should say designation. You should designate. Designate means which is hedged item, which is hedging instrument. Yeah. At the same time, what is the strategy? You should write strategy. Yeah. What is your strategy? That also you are supposed to write it. Next, whether it will meet the effective, whether it is effectiveness, whether it is effective or not, effective, ineffective. Because if it is an effective portion, we will follow hedge accounting. If it is ineffective, means it is not offsetting. Suppose risk is going up here and my hedging instrument is not reducing the risk. Suppose this risk here also I am making loss, here also I am making loss. That means this instrument is not actually hedging. Correct na? Hedging means what? Here loss is coming means here gain should come. No sir, here also loss coming. Then what should I do? There is, here there is no relationship, and whatever the hedging instrument gain or loss comes, that you transfer it to profit and loss, because I will say this is ineffective hedge. It is not effective, it is ineffective. Got it? Right. That is the whether it is right, whether it is effective or not. And a little more information you are supposed to give. I am just closing it with etc. Right. So here now, right. So there are three models of hedge. Fine. Yes. 1 second. Yeah. So as per the standard hedge accounting, there are three models. Okay. Let us hedge accounting models. Yeah, hedge accounting models. There are three models. Yeah. First one is fair value hedge. Yeah, FVH, our short form. Right. Next is cash flow hedge. Yeah, CFH. Next is net investment hedge. Yeah, this we'll discuss obviously as third point, right? So it will be little later. Done. So what is, we need to understand first what is fair value hedge with examples as well as the accounting treatment of fair value hedge. and same time cash flow hedge and net investment hedge accounting is similar to cash flow hedge. So I feel that will take little less time compared to these two. Okay, right. So in my next video, let's have the discussion of this fair value hedge accounting. Okay.